beautiful souls. I am super excited to bring this absolute queen on BU today. Thank you so much for joining us, Nyssa.
Oh, hello. I'm super excited. Thank you for having me here.
And such a privilege. For those of you who don't know who this queen is, she's going to share a little bit. But I connected in with this queen a couple of months ago now. I was in a container and this gorgeous queen connected in, was able to share her wisdom and magic around fasting and nutrition. And that's not what we're going to be speaking about today. But I just want you to know she is a wizard of so many magical things. And yeah, instantly connected. And she's just such a divine goddess. And I'm super excited about today's subject, conscious pregnancy and empowered labor. But first, I would love for you to just share a little bit about who you are and how you came to be doing what you're doing now.
I guess for me, like I've always been in health and fitness. I was born in a tent on a hippie commune in the middle of the northern New South Wales, like whatever it is, in the trees somewhere, and it was beautiful. But really grew up with an alternate lifestyle. However, moving into like the cities and around my teenage years, I really fell into the trap of like social image and struggling with body image and being teased and boys and bullying. So went down a dark hole of really hating myself. And I guess I the usual journey that a lot of other teenage girls and boys do of self-loathing and not really enjoying my body and really like losing touch with myself, what my parents gifted me with right from birth. And it's only been in probably the last, well, I've always been in health and fitness, so 20 years in health and fitness, but only really in the last 10 years have I really started to tap back into, what I was given at birth. So learning about nutrition medicine and self-healing and really healing like your childhood trauma, because we've all got it. So that's kind of like the way the journey's gone. And I'm sure so many people can relate to that because we all kind of take those paths. We go off the path, we come back, we go off, we come back. And once I got back on this time, it's just been beautiful. It's been ugly as well, but very beautiful. And here I am today, like totally embedded still in health and fitness, but mostly in nutritional medicine and really like sharing my journey of healing physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, genetically, like ancestrally, like all of that I pour into anything. I know, right? Yeah, quickly. Into absolutely anything I do. And I'm being 33 weeks pregnant now. This journey's been absolutely beautiful. I've been pregnant with my second child. It was my first. He's nearly 13 years old. And that was kind of before I tapped back into this part of Nyssa. And it's really beautiful because I get to experience
a few things that I would love to, I guess, go down from what you've said there. But I think, so you mentioned that we sort of go off path and then come back and then go off and then back. So what was it that brought you back this time that you were like, this is it, I'm doing this and I'm committing this time? Was there a defining moment for you around that?
Yeah, there was definitely a couple, and it's failure and trauma. So I've been married. I got married when I was 25 and I was 6 months pregnant at the time. And 3 years after that marriage fell apart and I started to really, and the reason it fell apart was because I actually fell back into personal development. And I'm sitting there writing down one day going, when I'm 70, I want to look back on my life and think I did this and this and this, and I'm not going to be doing that if I stay here. So that was kind of like a big pivotal moment. And with a 3-year-old son, I left my marriage and had an amazing journey between then and now of so much trauma. But every single time I fell into that little bit of, I call it trauma because it really is. It's like just making life decisions that just bring out and crack you and break you. And every single time I learned something. And it wasn't until I got to the point of nearly taking my own life, being stalked, having people threaten my life, like all the things, drugs, rape, abuse, control, that I've really gone, okay, so what's the common denominator? So there's a couple of pivotal moments.
Yes, I so resonate with that. I actually last night jumped on one of my containers that I facilitate and we're literally talking about what's the common denominator. Point, do we sit there and go, I can keep leaving the job, or I can keep leaving a boyfriend, or I can keep leaving all these different scenarios and these outside external factors, but at what point are we going to sit there and be like, actually, you know what, the common denominator here is me?
Yeah.
And you mentioned that it been amazing, but it's also been incredibly hard. And
yeah, definitely has.
And is that in the working through the trauma, or is that in the experience, or is it both?
Definitely both. Definitely. Like when you think about, okay, let's use one particular situation, okay? Extremely abusive relationship. Horrible, dark, it's yuck, it's painful. You feel like your whole world's crumbling. You go, why me? And there's all the things that come up. But then when you also are faced with, let's say 3 years down the track, you're in a new relationship, you're really wanting to make sure that this time it's different. You see the red flags, or you heal that little traumatized girl inside of you, like that's also yuck as well. So yeah, that's definitely both.
So I would love for you to speak into, so this is your second pregnancy, and you mentioned that your first was not this Nyssa, and obviously before a lot of trauma and a lot of things had happened. So I would love for you to maybe explain how this pregnancy differs from your last.
In so many ways. So my last pregnancy, although a breeze, beautiful, easy, all of the things, this one, I am so connected. I feel so connected to my baby. She chose her name when I was like only 3 months pregnant. I knew it was a her. Like, I just feel so connected. We talk, we communicate, and it's just so beautiful. And I feel so empowered as a woman. Like, my body, I'm just so in love with my body. I've put on like 15 kilos. I love it. I haven't moved it as much because I'm so tired. I'm okay. I have been eating the most amazing, delicious foods. Whereas last time I was so not connected. Like, I knew I was getting big. I knew I had a baby in there, but there was no connection and there was no honor. There was no honor for my womb and for what I was birthing and what my body could do. So I think it's just that real, this time around, it's that divine connection and respect and grace, and also being opening my heart to all the lessons that are coming up. So I really feel like this little girl inside me is just teaching me so much, and she's not even here yet.
So beautiful. Do you feel like the last time you were as connected to yourself as you are now, and that could contribute to the disconnection?
Yeah, I definitely wasn't as connected, and yeah, it makes a big difference. And we're just not taught this. Like, you think centuries ago, like in the ancients, they had their nonnas and their aunties and their sisters and their cousins, and everyone was around sharing the wisdom. So when you became of age, whatever age you were, whether it was 12 or 22, it's like you just knew. You knew that you would birth a baby and you'd have all your women around you and they would dote over you, and it was sacred. Whereas now we're not gifted that knowledge and that wisdom. What we're gifted is fear. We're gifted that it's going to be traumatic, that it's life-threatening, it's like a disease, it's an illness, it's you're going to lose yourself. Like, we're gifted all of this stuff when it's kind of, when we're not given the opportunity to embrace just how magical and beautiful it is.
Oh, I love that. And that's so true. There is so much fear around every single aspect of life now. The time that we're living in right now really amplifies and exemplifies that exponentially.
Oh, yeah.
So I would love for you to speak into, how does conscious pregnancy look now that you don't have that fear? Like, what is the difference between the fear and the mindset and the disconnect before to now having a conscious pregnancy?
It's so easy. You could pretty much sum it up in one sentence. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm totally okay with whatever happens. Like, let's say there is a variation that happens and it means that I need to go into surgery. Like, I'm totally okay with it. Like, it's faith. I have this faith. Like, I trust my body. I trust my baby. I trust the dance of life that we're going to do together that brings her into the world. And you just have this faith, this knowing. And that's the main difference. Really, if you had to sum it up, that is the main difference, is you just have trust and faith, and it excites you.
There's an element of surrender where you're just like, you know what, it's out of my control.
And it's so perfect. Exactly. Whatever way it goes.
Oh my goodness, that's so beautiful. And it sounds like
Yeah.
you have such a beautiful connection with her already. And did you know that she was coming before you fell pregnant?
I wasn't 100% sure if it was a she or a he, but I think that's kind of like a little bit of, what's the word, where not trusting myself. And because I've got a lot of other people around me that deliver messages as well. And so you can kind of sometimes get misconstrued messages, but I always knew that my next child was a girl. And I knew that she'd been hanging around, like, since I met my man. We've been together 3 and a bit years now. And for the last 3 years, I've felt her around. And we've actually lost a couple before this one. And I feel like all 3 times, so the 2 that we lost in this one, have been her. Every single time. I knew she was around, definitely.
Distant.
Yeah, I think she's also taught us a lot. So in the times that she didn't come through, there was so much like beauty in that pain as well. Like, so much.
Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. So the first time that we lost her, and I say her because I truly believe it was her, it just wasn't the right time for my partner and I. We hadn't even been together a year. Let me think. Actually, we'd been together just over a year. So, and he's a little bit younger than me. So at the time he was like 26 and he wasn't ready, and we were still establishing ourselves. So although it was sad and horrible, there was some beautiful lessons in it because it brought him and I together. Like, it actually opened him up to going, well, I don't want kids yet, but maybe I do with this woman.
Oh.
So we were really able to like open that up. So it kind of brought us to a new level. And then the second time she came through, that was another fluke accident. And I was just like, babe, I'm going to make sure this one comes through. It's going to be beautiful. She's coming, all the things. And then she didn't. And I actually took it really hard. It was quite painful. And I didn't allow myself to heal. I was too angry. I was like, no, why? fight, you know, the whole victim side. And I fell into a bit of depression, and we actually nearly broke up over it. And I look back now and I really see the strength in him. So what he stood up and he was like, babe, you've really got to surrender to what's happened and be open and think to yourself, okay, why did she come through again? And what was it? Maybe you and I were missing something and she brought us back, or you know what I mean? So there was so much beauty in that. So painful, but beautiful.
How
Yeah.
people go through that experience and survive that experience.
Yeah.
Sometimes I come out and say it was beautiful. Like, I don't think I can
Absolutely.
sit there and say that and really honor that. And that in itself is consciousness, isn't it?
Oh, most definitely. Yeah, most definitely. Because there's beauty in everything. Like, we always win no matter what. It's just sometimes it's more of a learning experience rather than an outcome of winning. So, yeah, definitely.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. So, what does empowered labor mean to you?
Oh, it means so many things. So firstly, labor is fucking powerful as it is. Like, my son came to me the other day and he goes, Mum, you're going to laugh at this. What came first, the chicken or the egg? And the reason I bring this up is because we kept going back and forth. He goes, what if God put the egg down first, not by where'd the egg come from? Or if the chicken was first? So long story short, regardless of what came first, the creation of life is so fucking powerful. And here in this realm, right now, here on earth, if you are a woman, you get to be the vessel that creates that. And it's so powerful and it's so empowering. And if us women get to just sit there and go, I have a vagina, I have a womb, I'm so fucking strong and it's amazing. So that's like the first thing that I think of. It's like, oh my God, like we get to do this, we get to do this. But also like you embracing all the bits that come. So like what makes up you is completely different to what makes up me. What empowers you is completely different to what empowers me. So then you take that facet and go, well, there's all this that comes with Nyssa, or there's all this that comes with Chrissy. And that in itself there as well is so empowering when you think of your labor and what you want to do. Because you could go sit in your backyard and have your baby, or you might want to go to a hospital and be surrounded by doctors. You might want to have medication. You might not. Like all of those things. They're so empowering, and it's so beautiful.
Amazing. I love that. I think we're seeing more and more of the sacredness of women coming through, and it's so powerful. And I love that we're bringing this, because this isn't something I've really spoken into or even spoken with anyone around conscious pregnancy and empowered labor, because you talk about fear and I think about labor and I'm like, and I can feel my whole womb and my everything. My yoni just goes, no. I know that I want to have another child, and I know that she's waiting. Same thing. Like, I know she's waiting. She's been here for a few years, just like, come on, Mum, let's do this.
Hovering around.
Literally. And I know that I'm doing the healing work for her, the trauma, the sex abuse, all of the men stuff, all the men trauma that I've experienced. I know I'm doing it for her to come through. So the sacredness, I so resonate with that. And definitely something I think this is kind of perfect, because I think this is probably something that I need to step into, having this conversation and just being like, wow, it doesn't have to be scary. So,
absolutely not.
and you mentioned earlier around how it used to take a village to raise a child and to bring a child into the world, and we had so much support, and now it's kind of expected of us, one person, or maybe our partner's there, or maybe we might have a room with a doula or medical professionals or whatever the case may be, but we really have limited support these days. I feel like that's contributing to the fear. Do you feel?
Oh, totally. You think about it with anything. If you're having a birthday and you're surrounded by all your friends, you feel loved and supported, and your cup is full. Like it's no different. So absolutely, it definitely, when you feel alone, or you don't feel connected, or you don't feel heard, or you don't feel supported, and you're not filled up, absolutely, what's going to come through are all the unknowns. So when you have that unknown without the connection, there's that fear, and whatever other emotion is really inside of you. Like if you're an angry person, that anger might come out. If you're a sad person, that sad might come out. So it absolutely, like if I had my way, I would have my mum, I'd have my mother-in-law, I'd have my sisters, I would have a couple of my really closest friends. They would all be there. Like, and then my man, I would want him to be there. And if he wants somebody, then that's okay. But if they're a male, just don't stare at me more. Like,
I my God, I love that. Yeah, 100%. And I think the disconnect is happening. Like, we're being forced to disconnect. We're being forced to isolate. We're being forced to hug and have that actual physical connection. Even more on top of the fact that we can't have, like, we're not surrounded by our tribe anymore. We're not surrounded by our family just down the road or in the same tribe or in the same village anymore. So I feel like there's this real massive disconnect that now we're being amplified even greater. I heard recently that doulas weren't actually allowed in birthing rooms anymore because of what's going on in the world. And that in itself is going to add more and more fear to stress. So if for those women who are pregnant right now and are facing that, what would you say to them for them to be able to come back to themselves and to connect in and feel supported?
Is to just really trust. Like if they're having moments of fear or being scared or not knowing or unsure, is to just take a deep breath, go outside and just like ask themselves, like ask their soul what it is that they need, because we all have that innate wisdom within inside us. We all know. It's only the TVs and the radios and the social media and the Auntie Margaret down the road and old Karen down at the shops that put all of that fear inside of us. And I think if anyone is having that, because I did at the start, I thought that my man wasn't even going to be allowed to be there because we're going to a birthing centre. And I was like, well, I'm going to have my kid at home. Like, no, thank you. But I trusted and I just was like, we've got 6 months. Let's see what happens. Don't, not to worry. There's always going to be an answer. So it comes back to that faith and that trust and that surrender and just knowing. And I know for me, I really wanted to have a home birth, but my man, that being his first child, I compromised with him. He really felt more comfortable being around more professionals. And I'm like, okay, it's not all about me. Well, it is, but it's about us as well. So we made that compromise. And I feel very, very blessed that we've got a local birth centre here. And wives, oh my God, if you're listening to this and you're in North Brisbane, reach out to me. I will tell you where to go. I am so blessed. I'm surrounded by the most beautiful midwives. They are happy to just let me sit in a corner and do my thing. They're going to protect my space. They're not going to let any doctors in. They're going to allow me just to do my thing unless they're needed. And it's beautiful. And I think it comes back to that trust of like, this is what I want to experience. And I trust that it's going to happen.
That's exceptional. How fun.
Yeah.
So I would love for you, like we spoke before we jumped on, about how you're like, oh crap, I just realized that we're going to be recording this on Zoom, and like, I would love for you to speak into that, because this whole podcast is about being you and being able to show up in your authenticity and to just show up how you want to show up rather than how we're perceived to show up. I'd love for you to explain that a little bit more and why you decided to just show up the way you.
I guess I feel so good in it now. However, part of my journey, let's say 5 years ago, I think I was still working for Nike at the time, and I would not leave the house without a face full of makeup on. I wouldn't even go to the gym without a face full of makeup on. Now, when I say a face full, I mean concealer, contouring, setting powder, eyebrows drawn on, and I felt like I was the shit, man. And I spent a shitload of money on like getting to this point, and it was perfect and it's beautiful. And I still admire women that wear makeup like that every day. I admire it because I know the work that is involved. For me, however, I got to a point, and it was actually right at the pivotal moment of the most abusive relationship I've ever broken away from, that I just was like, oh, I need to rip it all off, and didn't want anything fake on me. The only thing I had fake on me at the time was my fake boobs. They're now gone as well. But I just wanted everything off me. So it was part of this beautiful journey of coming back to Nyssa. And so I spent like the next 2 years wearing like minimal makeup, nothing. And it wasn't easy at first because I don't know if you can see today, it's not too bad, but I get quite a fair bit of big pigmentation and I've got dark rings under my eyes. So at first I was like, ugh. But now I feel more comfortable with no makeup on than I do with. However, I still love wearing makeup. So like really tapping into that and just finding the beauty in our rawness. So I'm totally okay with it. So at like 11:45 today, when I was like, I'm pretty sure I saw the word Zoom in our message. Ooh, I'm going to be on camera. Oh well. So
I love that.
I know, right? Yeah.
Because I feel like there's such a need to show up a certain way, to wear the makeup, to wear the labels, to all the things pushed upon identity, and especially with Instagram, like that's such a big influencer, to mention the influencers that are on the influencer. And I feel like we're so far removing from our truth, from ourselves. Perfect, as you said, like it's all part of our journey. And I love that you're gone, you know what? I'm just going to be true to me, because that's what this is all about. It's about connecting people to come back home to themselves and their truth, and lead by example from that place. Like, what's your realness, your rawness? Because I'm the same. I show up with no makeup.
I love it. Yes, I love it.
I rarely will wear makeup now. I showed up at Conscious Community a couple of weeks ago for the first time. It was my first event where I was standing up at the room, and I've been in that community now for a year, and it was the first time I wore makeup. They're like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I'm not crying because I'm on the other side anymore. I'm up the front, so now I can wear makeup. And I think for me, I just felt like getting pretty, and I felt like just wearing makeup for a change. And it's rare. I don't like makeup now, but we get to make that choice.
Yeah, you get to choose, like, what am I sitting in, or what do I want to, like, sometimes I wish I could go out looking like a rainbow bride, or, you know, like, so that's exactly, I really want to, we went shopping the other day and I was like, babe, I wish I had a unicorn onesie, maybe a polar bear one. That'd be cool to go to the shops in, and wear gumboots with it. And he thought I was joking, but I was so serious. Like, it's about being able to express yourself, but not letting that expression become you, like your identity, because this is me. This is me how I am, drinking my coffee, having my water, in my robe, with my belly hanging out. You can't see down that low, but I got my gut hanging out, my pregnant belly, and that's me. And I want people to know that is a goddess. That's a goddess, because she's so, like, tapped into who she is, that she feels fucking beautiful even in this state, or in a unicorn onesie, or dolled up to the max with gold jewelry on, and, like, you know, gold diamantes on her face and her hair done, and it's like, either or, it's the same person.
100%. And that we actually do get to be it all.
Oh yeah,
we literally get to be it all. And if one moment we want to show up in a flannel and Ugg boots, and the next moment we want to show up like lambed up, it's all perfect.
yeah, it is.
Oh, I love that, sister.
Beautiful. It brings me to a moment here in my pregnancy. So I got to a point, and all of the pregnant women are going to laugh at this, but when you get to a point where you can't see your bits anymore, and reaching down to my feet is hard work. So shaving or pruning or whatever it is that we want to do becomes a mission. And I'm like, I can't see it. I don't care. And my man's like, but babe, I like it nice and neat. And I'm like, if you want it fixed, you do it. And being okay with that, like, whereas old Nyssa, I would be like, oh my God, I need to, like, look perfect because that's what my man wants. And if I'm not, then he's going to go elsewhere. And, you know, I still have that monkey chatter. Like, it's still there. It never goes, because that's part of being human. Hey,
yes.
We're human. And that's beautiful too. But it's also always coming back and going, well, dude, I can't reach down there. And, you know, if you don't want it that way, then you got to help me, mate.
I love that. And I love that you've asked him, like, well, this is a priority for you. It's not for me. And basically, I can't do it. So you figure it out.
I did try one day, and I was like, I gave it a go, babe, but it was like mangy and bits missing. So yeah, pretty funny.
I would love you to speak into how women, particularly if they're you 13 years ago, disconnected, in abusive relationships, haven't gone through the awaken journey per se, how can they get started on not stopping this, because you're right, it doesn't ever stop, but quietening this and being able to connect in with the true message, the soul message, the essence of the goddess, so disconnected from?
Oh, that's just powerful. Very powerful question. I think it's going to be different for every person. So I can only really speak from my point of view. And that is that if something is repeating itself in your life, that is disempowering. If moments in your life are disempowering, if people, situations and things, thoughts and feelings in your life are happening that are disempowering, that is no one else's responsibility but our own. And reflection is the key. So being able to get to the end of the day, the end of a week, the end of whatever, and going, how do I feel? Do I feel energized? Do I feel driven? Do I feel excited? Do I feel passionate? Do I feel any of the things that make me feel empowered? And if there's a no in there, and if there is parts that are disempowering, it's just a matter of coming back and accepting that perhaps there's some choices, environments, people, situations, surroundings in our life, thoughts, feeling, internal dialogue that are not quite in alignment with us. And I think anybody who is either on that journey of awakening, are feeling like they're awake, are not awake, it's the exact same thing. However, it's going to look different for everybody, but it comes down to just that one thing. Is it empowering you or disempowering you? And then I could rave on all about the whole timeline and, you know, subconscious beliefs and all of that, but let's keep it simple. It's literally just that.
Totally. Is not. And it's a regular question I ask myself. How I'm showing up right now, the choices I'm making, is this serving me?
Oh yeah, that's exactly right. And that's all. It's not easy. It's not easy to actually take the action after it. So let's say say, you know, I'm in an unhappy relationship. I spend all my days worrying about if I'm being cheated on. He comes home, he belittles me, you know, all those things. That's not very empowering. I could sit there and ask that question, is this serving me? No, it's not. That's the easy part. The bits that come after it are not. And that's where the real yuckiness comes in. That yuckiness can turn into the most beautiful thing ever.
And as we experience, I truly believe we absolutely experience the same, if not more pleasure.
Oh, so much. But then also the lineage after. Like you said something before about you doing the healing work now before your daughter comes through. And I got tingles because it's like you get to draw a line in the sand and stop that coding at you. You get to stop it. And that's just like beautiful.
100%. And I actually started this journey of awakening and taking full ownership and responsibility for my life because I have my son and those patterns. And I was like, I don't want to experience this and go through this. And I really had to look at it and go, wow, we're really drastically impacting another generation, because I could see that it was my mums and my nanas and it had just been streamlined down. Then when I started to really dive deeper and do so many different trainings and experiences and learn more about lineage and ancestors and future generations, I was like, holy wow, like even though he's earthborn, I'm still healing parts of him that he then doesn't have to do. And that's
absolutely, it's so beautiful, and it's like a gift. It's priceless that we get to do. Like we get to do that.
And I feel like it's such a beautiful gift for us to give that to our kids. If that is the one gift we can give them, it is to not have our trauma.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And just stop it with us. Like I look at my boy, he's nearly 13, and anyone who meets him, they're like, whoa, like what the, like he already knows what he wants to do. He wants to be a software engineer for NASA. And I'm like, dude, let me teach you some things about NASA, but we won't go there. And I know you get that, but the thing is he has these huge goals in life and he gets it, and he's like the peer mediator at school. When there's a fight, he's not afraid to jump in between and tell each other that they're just like projecting, and he understands love languages, and he knows that his dad, who is a controlling, verbally abusive person, he knows that he gets to decide to just love him and not take that on. Like he gets that, and I feel so privileged that I took part in that. Like I got to teach him that rather than pass on my crap.
Yeah, 100% it is. And how interesting it will be when your little girl comes through and the beautiful spirit that she already is, and to come through. Yeah, just how powerful. And I think we forget as parents that we're not only here to teach our kids and to do the healing on ourselves, but they're here to teach us.
They teach us more than we even give them credit for. Yeah.
That you're most excited about with having her come through this time, having a child now where you are?
There's not one thing, but there's so many things that come up, and I'm so excited that I get to have a little girl. And no pressure, little one, but I get to like recreate all of the beautiful things that I look back on and realize I missed out on. But it's so beautiful. I'm so thankful that I did, because I wouldn't be here having this conversation with you, being excited about these things. But I'm so excited to be that person, to guide the way, to hold her hand, to hold space, to cradle her through all of these beautiful pivotal moments in her life. And I get to teach her how to be a courageous little warrior. I get to teach her how to be soft. I get to teach her that it's okay to have a tantrum. Like tantrums are okay. That's just feedback. It just means that something's pissed you off. Let's have a look. I get to teach her that her dad is going to be her number one love, and he's going to set the example for her of what her relationships are going to be like for her as she grows up with men. And I get to be part of that. And as much as I don't want to be a controlling mother and I don't want to tell him how to do it, he knows he's having daddy-daughter dates. So I'm so excited for that, and I'm so blessed for my dad. I love him with all of my heart, and I know I chose him to teach me all of this. And with all of the things that I blame him for, there's so many things that I'm thankful for that he has taught me, and it's made me the woman I am. And I get to now pass all of that on to my daughter. So I could rave on all day about all the things that excite me about what I get to experience when she comes through.
I would love for you to share how people can connect in with you. So if this has resonated with our beautiful listeners, how can they connect in and find out more about who you are, what you do, the beautiful medicine and magic that you bring to this world? Even though this has been just a beautiful conversation, you bring so much more magic to this gorgeous world of ours. So I would love for you to share that.
Oh, thank you. You're so lovely. So the best way to connect with me is through social media. So both my my personal Facebook account is not personal. It's just like a Nyssa wall full of all the stuff that I share with the world. So through my personal Facebook, through my personal Instagram, I've also got a business Facebook, but it's still kind of been seasoned, and I'm building out quite a few different programs. Give birth in about 7 weeks. So I'm going to wait until I'm established with her. But following that, so anybody who is interested in any kind of self-healing with their physical bodies when it comes to nutrition and movement and becoming their own guru. Now, that doesn't have to look like just a nutritional portion. That could be anything that we've spoken about today. Anything that you think, oh, does Nyssa do that? But chances are I probably do. So I'm building out a couple of different containers, and that'll come launch in probably the next, maybe let's say 4 months. And it'll start off with just a whole heap of free masterminds and masterclasses, because I'm all about sharing. Like, to me, money is just a byproduct of delivering the love that I have inside of me. So to me, it's about, oh my God, if I can just pass that bit of information onto that person, I could change their whole world. And I know it's all going to come back to me. So my best bet would be to tell everybody, just find me on social media.
Those links in the bio. If they want to connect in with your mastermind, you're going to have that all over your socials. Perfect.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's probably, I do have like a database as well, but I post like every few days, like links to that. So if anyone wants to be on that and get like emailed free content, free recipes, free whatever, if you're following me on social media or friends with me, you'll get shoved in that container if you feel like you would like to be.
This has been so beautiful.
It has. Thoroughly loved it.
Me too. If we can leave with one parting piece of advice for beautiful mamas, what would that be?
That you can do it. Whatever it is that you want to achieve, that you can do it. That's exactly it. I know, right?
So can. Thank you, gorgeous woman. This has been an absolute great privilege. I wish you all the best over the next
Thank
7
you.
weeks. And so look forward to just witnessing your journey and connecting with you more.
Yeah, I've absolutely loved chatting. Let's do it again soon.